You know what has been dramatic? Yup, 20 frickin' 20. It all started with the discovery of the coronavirus in Wuhan City, China, in December of 2019. Soon it became an international emergency and so was declared in January of 2020. By March, it was declared a pandemic. And so began our lives in the whirlpool of lockdowns and quarantines. But the fact is, people confused lockdowns with time to head out and relax. They went for outings and picnics. Now, don't get me wrong, traveling far from cities for hiking or, to isolate oneself, that's not a bad idea. However, places like the parks and beaches became the cause for concern. People were advised to maintain social distancing, but good God, it was far from that. When stricter lockdowns became enforced, all the facilities were forced to close down. Many people lost their jobs. Livelihood became even more challenging. While this was one part of the story, a greater issue became apparent: the hospitals. With the number of infected patients increasing in hundreds and thousands every day, doctors and nurses all over the world struggled and are still struggling to keep up with it. The number of available ventilators and beds have become a major concern. On its side, patients suffering from other illnesses were and are forced to not visit unless it's an emergency due to fear of contracting the virus. To be honest, I don't think that there are enough words to praise the heroic actions of all the frontline workers. And the fact that some of them face harassment even after their selfless contributions, it's just heart shattering and infuriating at the same time. Next, the internet was on a different level. Controversies and supposed cures flooded social media along with all sorts of stories from all over the world. Some remedies were understandable and acceptable, like drinking warm water instead of cold and consuming medicinal or herbal soup, which increases one's immunity. Yet some, no, just no. And there they were, the tutorials. Hand washing and sanitizing videos became prevalent on almost all platforms, which is a good thing. But the problems originated with some of the DIY videos of making hand sanitizers and, as I mentioned before, controversies and cures regarding the coronavirus. If the internet was on a different level of, dare I say, craziness, then the madness of the real world was on a whole new level. Now, it is not a new thing for us that masks, gloves, hand sanitizers, and face shields are put forth and emphasized upon because they help mitigate the chances of contracting the virus. However, thanks to Karens and their right to freedom, I'm going to offend a lot of people in my very first video. Basically speaking, it's making it difficult. For a disease that transmits through direct and indirect contact, especially if it's airborne, your best option is to protect yourself from inhaling the contaminated air droplets. And for that, you need to wear a mask. That's it. That's the best you can do. And that's what you're supposed to do, not scream at people's faces demanding your right to freedom. And if you happen to have the virus, then you're just helping spread it. If you don't, there's a chance that you might get infected. And I don't think we can talk about 2020 without mentioning the infamous toilet paper crisis, can we? While the rush to stack food supplies would be understandable, the TP scandal was confusing to say the least. I guess that's what happens during times of crisis when you use paper to clean your southern hemisphere compared to using water, but it shouldn't have been that chaotic. Well, now that a full year has gone by, we have somewhat adapted to living with this ongoing pandemic. Educational classes are being provided through the internet, and different facilities are slowly trying to return to the old ways of life. But precautions should be taken. The pandemic is still not over, and a single individual's carelessness can send us into another spiral of chaos. And with all the political craziness going on all around the globe, that's the last thing we need. We still don't have the vaccine, and the economic crash is inevitable. People are suffering, and the disease doesn't care about who it attacks. If it gets to you, it gets to you. If you're healthy and or lucky, you might make it through. If not, it's a scary and painful thing to undergo. There's been news that a new strain of the coronavirus has been discovered. For all we know, things could only be getting worse. Depression and anxieties were the faithful companions of the year, but a little bit of kindness goes a long way. So please be kind to each other. If you cannot respect someone, please don't insult them either. Refrain from dehumanizing others. Such things always come to bite you in the back. Drink warm water, don't go to crowded places, and wear a mask if you have to go outside. Take good care of yourself and check on your loved ones. A simple text can make a difference. Lastly, I hope that 2021 brings good changes in our lives. We can only hope for the better.